Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest here in Hungary. Hi Bumi, hi Abhishek. This is a members chat class. Everybody is welcome to watch. This is a task 2 writing class, an example for a band 9 essay. Task 2 essays are very similar between the academic and general version, so this will be a useful class for both academic and general students. And of course, this class is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Be sure to visit us there to improve your communication, your English, get those better band scores. For general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com, where we have materials which focus on the general version of the exam. Just super quick, I'll show you what these look like. This is the academic website here. You can click that big red button to join the premium package. And today you can use the code R4TYJ to get a 20% discount when you join that premium package for lots and lots of videos, practice exams, fully interactive course, mobile application. Visit us there. For the general version, same idea. It's the green background. Click that big red button to join us there. If anybody has questions, just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com and I will gladly respond to your inquiries. And of course, if you want to get just our exams in hard copy, carbon copy, you can do that from Amazon. So if you go to Amazon and search for AE Helps Academic IELTS or GE Helps General IELTS, you'll find our practice exam books there. They are very synonymous with the Cambridge books, same level of difficulty, same types of questions. So you can check those out. Those are what we use in these live classes as well. And in about 90 minutes following this class, there will be a task 1 writing that will be for everyone. That class will focus on a pie chart example for the academic version of the test. Okay, so today's writing task 2 question was sent to us by a member a couple weeks ago. And this, I believe, was taken from a previous exam that was held in some point in the past. And here's the question. So, of course, as many of you know, the first step, read the question very, very carefully. Your goal in the beginning for task 2 is, of course, to make sure that you understand the question exactly before you begin thinking about what to write. One of the most common mistakes that's made by a lot of IELTS candidates is they start to think about ideas of what to write before they actually made sure that they really understand the question that's being asked. So always start by making sure that you understand the question. So let's read this question first. And I think that's why one of our members found this kind of tricky, because the question's easy to misinterpret. So you have to be very careful with these. Let's read it. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Make sure to spend 40 minutes. It's worth 2/3 of your writing band score, so it's worth twice as much as task 1. Nevertheless, you should always start with task 1. And then here we go. Labor-saving devices such as dishwashers and communication tools such as computers are supposed to make our lives easier. However, some people argue that these devices only make them more difficult. Does modern technology reduce or increase stress? Include any relevant examples from your own experience. Now, one way to make sure that you do understand the question is to paraphrase it. And while you paraphrase it, make sure to visualize it. So picture these labor-saving devices. Okay, so let's do that now, members. Let's paraphrase this together, gather some useful vocabulary, and make sure that we really know what we need to do for this question. Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase it. When you paraphrase, you want to think of other words. You want to think of not just the words piece by piece, but whenever possible, try to think of the bigger phrase or the bigger idea. Okay, so I'm going to do that as well. So, machines that decrease Um, Okay, so that's my first part here. I'm not quite done yet, and I can see that some members have already thought about this in advance, which is great. That means you're preparing for these classes, and I'm always happy to see that. So here's my paraphrase. So machines that decrease the demand of work, such as dishwashers and tools that assist in conferencing, such as computers, are intended to make our lives easier. So here I'm realizing that with the devices here, we're talking about machines, really, and labor saving. So it's important here to understand that the word labor means work. But the IELTS people are not mean. They try to give you additional help to make sure that you understand this. So for a native speaker, it would likely be enough just to say labor-saving devices are supposed to make our lives easier. But here, just to make it absolutely clear for everyone, they include a couple of examples. So dishwashers and communication tools such as computers, so that you really get a clear picture. Now, that should be a light bulb going off in your head. So what you should see there is using a dishwasher. So basically that's a machine that helps you to wash dishes, plates, cutlery, and so forth. If you are not overly familiar with dishwashers, then imagine a washing machine that you put your clothes into to help you wash and rinse your clothes, or any kind of machine around the house, like an oven even, that helps you to prepare food. And then here you have communication tools such as computers. Now make sure that you pay attention that it says communication tools, so it's not expressing other functions of the computer, but it's focusing on communication here. Okay, so that's why I made sure to paraphrase that. And suppose to, another way to say that is intend or intended to. Make our lives easier. We could say make our lives simpler, but in this case, I decided to just keep that the same so it's absolutely clear what I'm thinking about here. And then, of course, the opposite argument. So, nevertheless is another way to say although in this context. So, nevertheless, certain individuals ascertain. Ascertain is another way to say argue. Ascertain is a strong belief that these technologies, that such, oops, let me just get that into the right location here. This is one advantage of doing the computer-based exam, is you do have these kinds of tools like cut and paste. So nevertheless, certain individuals ascertain that this technology makes our lives more challenging. Okay, so that's paraphrasing, of course, the opposite argument. And then here comes the question. So does modern technology reduce or increase stress? So let's keep that the same. Does modern tech increase or decrease stress? Okay, that's quite specific here. Now it says include any relevant examples from your own experience. So you have to think about how you're using technology, of course, in your own life. Now this is the question here. Okay, so at this moment, you can stop for a second and think about the answer. Okay, now you might not have a clear idea of the answer, but you can think of the answer. So in a very simple way, members, what could be the answer to this question? So what are my possible answers here? Does modern tech increase or decrease stress? What is or what are my answer choices to this kind of question? Can you tell me that? Okay, it's really important that you clearly identify the question it's asking, and then you can work out the answer afterwards. So what are my possible answers to this question? Does modern tech increase or decrease stress? Okay, so Bhumi says answer option number 1 is decrease stress. Okay, sure. What's answer option number 2? Okay, so Bekjan there said decrease stress. Bhumi says only support one side. We'll get to that point later. Okay, Samuel says increase stress is another option. Okay, sure. So that's option 2, right? If somebody on the street asked me this question, does modern tech increase or decrease stress? I could say, well, it decreases stress, or I could say, well, it increases stress. Or what's my third option? So I basically have 3 options here. This is what's called a closed question. Closed questions only have a few answer options, and this is a closed question. So it's not an open question. Open question would be like, what do you think? Okay, that can have many, many more answers. So pay attention to the type of question. Is it an open question? Is it a closed question? What are my answer options? Okay, what's my third answer option here? Okay, so these are 2. What's my third one? Hopefully some of you are thinking, well, of course the third one would be both. It can increase or decrease stress. Okay, so that's my third possible option. It's one of these 3. Okay, there is no number 4. All right, if you're thinking of a fourth option, I urge you to step back and reconsider. This is the IELTS. You're not writing a university thesis, so you have to keep your thoughts simple. Okay, yeah, so Frederick says, well, it could be both, right? So now my goal here is not to write an essay that expresses the absolute truth or even potentially my honest opinion. Okay, so keep that in mind here, members. The goal is not to discuss the ultimate truth or even your true opinion. What is the goal? What is the goal here, members? So task 2, question at hand here. What's your goal? What is your true goal when you write this essay? That's right, Samuel. Get the band score, right? That's what you're doing the IELTS for. You're doing the IELTS to get a band score. You're not there to create some kind of masterpiece, all right? Exactly. So Bekjan says the goal is to choose the simplest answer to get a high band score. Absolutely. Okay, that has to be in your mind. I know you're probably feeling a little bit fatigued at this time in the real exam. You just finished your task 1. You've already finished the listening, the reading section. And of course, your brain's getting a bit fatigued, but you have to keep in mind that your goal is to get a high band score and to choose the easier side. Okay, so let's get into some critical thinking then. Okay, the topic here obviously is modern technology. Okay, I'm going to move along here nice and fast a little bit. I think we're on par here. So topic, modern techs applications in human life. Okay, that would be my most specific topic. And then the controlling idea is use of modern tech making lives more or less stressed. Okay, so that's my controlling idea. Okay, so here now we get into the what, why, hows. Okay, so we start thinking about the what, why, how in the topic, the what, why, how in the controlling idea, and we do this to identify the simple answer. Okay, so What is modern tech? Let's keep that simple. And I see some members asking the right questions, which is nice to see. So new innovations with machines that are used in daily life. Okay, all right. Why? So why do we acquire and use modern tech? So that's obviously your next question, and this is going to be a key question. So the answer to the why question is obviously the key question and the key answer to get onto the right track here. Okay, so why do we buy dishwashers? Why do we buy ovens? Why do we buy microwaves? Okay, and this is where you really have to picture the situation. Okay, so Boomy says we do that to save time and energy. Okay, through automation. Yeah. Okay, and what you can do here, students, members, is to really visualize the situation, right? One way you can do it is to visualize the opposite. So visualizing a variety of situations and the opposite can really help to get a clear picture. Okay. What do you see when you think about this? So when you think about, when you visualize, when you imagine, when you picture in your head, in your mind's eye, using modern technology, or the opposite, not using modern technology, what do you actually see? So what kind of images, what kind of situations and contexts come to life in your mind? Okay, as a clever writer, you have to visualize like this because that's your platform for communication. For powerful, effective communication, you have to be a visual communicator. That means seeing information in your head that you then express in your words, in your writing. So what is it that you see in your mind when you picture this or not? Okay, so Samuel says that he sees pushing a button on his tablet to immediately start talking with his mom or his sister instead of writing a letter and putting it in the mail so that mom gets the letter 2 weeks later and then opens it up and says, "Oh, hey, thanks, son. That's fantastic." Okay. All right. Jaineel says that you see electrical expenses and payments. I'm not sure how you see that, Jaineel. You might see a letter that arrives in the mail and a bill. So make sure that you're being visual, not just conceptual. Okay, being visual and being conceptual are two very different concepts or two very different constructs. Okay. All right. Yeah, Rajveer sees people meeting. So Rajveer, see yourself, right? You're meeting your friend in person. You have to get on your horse. There's no car, right? So you get on your horse and you ride your horse over to your friend's house to say, "Hey, good morning there, Jim. I was wondering how you're doing," right? Okay. So yeah, you have to see that. If you're wondering what I see, I don't know why, but I always get this image when I think about this kind of question is I see myself washing my clothes in the river with a washboard instead of just throwing them into the washing machine and pushing the button. Okay, so that's what I see. The more powerful of a visualizer you become, the more powerful your communication and your essays. And amazingly, students, even with relatively low vocabulary and simple grammar, you can write a very powerful essay that can get a very good band score if you have some really good ideas that you can put together in a very clear, expressive, visual format. Okay, so this is what I see. Like, I see myself washing my clothes in the river with the washboard. Maybe you've seen that before. In the olden days, people, usually women, used to actually carry a basket of clothes. In some parts of the world that still happens, and get into the river, and for quite some time on a piece of board that's got these kind of ribs, they just washed the clothes for hours. Okay, so definitely more labor intensive. Okay, so that's the why question here. So clearly we get that concept that many of you were saying of using machines is going to save time and energy. Okay, all right. So how does this happen? And somebody, I think it might have been Frederick, said through automation. So through automation and the use of electricity, which is, of course, here we can think of the word power, right? Machines perform the manual labor. Okay, all right. So now we have a much clearer idea. So I think now with all of this information, with all of this visualization, we have a clear picture in our head. We have a very simple approach, an effective approach to this essay. So now we can come up with our thesis statement. Okay, so from this, we should be able to come up with a thesis. Yeah, and Bekchan's saying it'd be far more stressful if you got home after a tiring day at the office and then you had to grab your clothes, go down to the river, and start massaging that washboard for hours and hours just to come home later on in the evening and fall into bed dead tired, okay? So it makes us really think, right? It's maybe not the machines that are making our lives more challenging, but just the demand on our time. Okay, so now we have a very clear picture. And of course, all of this planning is happening very quickly in task 2. So what I just showed you here in the first 15, 20 minutes of class, that's happening in the first 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes of your 40 minutes, okay? It's worth sacrificing the first 4 or 5 minutes of the 40 minutes in order to write more effectively and write a better essay. Okay, it's much, much smarter to do that than to start writing right away, going off topic and getting into a challenging situation. Okay, so let's get into a thesis statement. Okay, now give me a nice, clear, clean thesis with 2 clear points. Okay, I still get a lot of emails with people sending me their essays for a score estimate, where they're writing, this essay will delineate, this essay will discuss the reasons, and that's just redundant. There's no originality there. Every student's essay has that same sentence. It's not getting you points, viewers and members, so don't do that kind of indirect essay. It's not going to be successful for a higher band score, okay? You have to have a direct thesis with clear thesis points, okay? So direct thesis with clear points for the body paragraphs. Okay. All right. So give me a nice clear thesis here. I don't want to spoil it for you. I'm going to do the same. So I'll write down the thesis as well. I'm going to do that silently while you think about yours. Okay. All right, so there is my thesis statement, nice and fast. So once you have the right ideas, your thesis should be nice and quick, okay? And it's fairly simple once you practice this, okay? Practice is the key. I make it look easy, but it definitely takes a bit of practice to do this, all right? Beck John says, modern devices lead certain individuals to think that they have only made our lives more challenging and stressful. However, I strongly believe that new technologies reduce stress because they can save time and energy. Very good, Beck-John. Think about which one you want to discuss, Beck-John, first, energy or time. There's even more logic and more powerful communication when you have a very clear picture of that. I would prefer energy first and then time. You'll see why, but it could be either way in this case, okay? So I think time and energy are both okay. I would do energy and then time. You'll see my logic, Beck-John, there. So again, that's just taking it one step further and seeing your essay evolve as you write it, okay? And of course, for all of our members, make sure that your thesis points are in the same order as your body paragraph. So if you say save time first, then body paragraph 1 is about saving time. If you say save energy first, then body paragraph 1 is about saving energy. Okay, for higher level writing, you have to really carefully control the order of your thesis points. That's another good reason to write that direct thesis. Okay. So Samuel says, owing to the ease of performing mundane tasks and saving time subsequently, modern gadgets, I firmly believe, have reduced stress for the masses. Yeah, Samuel, good. A couple of unnecessary words there. To the, for example. And I firmly believe you should have a comma after that. So careful, Samuel, if you're getting fancy with the order of phrasing or words in your thesis, you have to make sure that you have good punctuation so it's clear where the breaks and pauses are, what the additive or descriptive clauses are. So I would recommend, Samuel, not overcomplicating your thesis statement, not for the IELTS, okay? You can get more fancy in university or at work to emphasize various elements in different ways, but don't do it for the IELTS. For the IELTS, just keep it simple. Again, Samuel, your goal is to get a high band score and avoid mistakes, unnecessary mistakes especially, okay? All right, Rajveer Singh says, I believe machines such as dishwashers and communication tools like computers help individuals to reduce their effort, and these appliances greatly reduce stress as people save time, save their energy and time. Okay, good, Rajveer. One kind of tip, Rajveer, I would leave details like computers and dishwashers out of the thesis because you will have the opportunity in the body paragraphs to include those elements. So even though the question has that to kind of help you get a clear idea, you don't need to put that level of detail into a 300-word essay on the IELTS into the thesis because, again, you can do that in the body paragraph. That's what your explanation and example sections are for in the body paragraphs, okay? So I personally would keep it simpler than that, okay? Bhumi says, although certain individuals ascertain that advanced tech makes life more arduous, I believe that these gadgets reduce stress by saving time and energy. That's a beautiful thesis statement, Bhumi. So that's definitely a thesis statement. When the examiner reads it, they know that this is a student who is trained in proper essay writing to the level of knowing the value and structure of a direct thesis statement, okay? You have to remember, students, that the examiners and the people who are marking your essays, they're educated mostly in England, US, Canada. They have a master's degree, most of them, or at least a bachelor's degree, and they're very familiar with the standard essay structures and the standards of thesis, direct, indirect, okay? So they know what they're looking at. When the examiner sees a direct thesis like that, they know what they're looking at, all right? And they will appreciate that as well, all right? Hassan Sadiq says, I am of the opinion that machines like dishwashers and computers help humans not only reduce their effort, but also save time significantly. And even though others have the opposite position for such machines, I wouldn't put that at the end, Hassan. I would put that at the beginning. You always want to end your ideas on the side that you support and the side that you want to strengthen. Okay, I see what you're doing there, Hassan. You're trying something new. You're trying something a little bit different than the usual. But again, I don't recommend doing that. So you never want to leave your audience thinking about the idea that's not supported. Okay, that's the logic of why you'd want to put that in the beginning. Okay, Dr. Krishna says, even though many contradict that advanced technology invites stress, I think you accidentally created the opposite there, Dr. Krishna, of what you mean, because contradict that they invite stress means that it helps to decrease stress. So you have to be careful with your word choice there, Dr. Krishna. So even though many people believe that advancement in technology invites stress, I favor that modern machines decrease stress through saving time and energy consumption. Through less time and energy consumption. Yeah, the word consumption is well used there, Dr. Krishna. Just the beginning there, careful, because that's considered a critical mistake when you have a confusing idea. So the word contradict would only work if you said contradict that advancements in technology decrease stress, not invite stress, but decrease stress. So the word contradict with invite creates a confusing opposing concept. Okay, so be really careful with that kind of mistake. Okay. Samuel's asking, owing to ease performing mundane tasks. Samuel, the word mundane is not the best there because mundane means that it's a regular, boring routine, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's difficult or stressful. Okay. So if I have to open and close the door 50 times every hour, it's a mundane task. It's not necessarily stressful or difficult, but it's mundane. Okay, the word mundane, Samuel, means boring and repetitive, so it's not the most accurate term in this context. All right, Frederick says, I believe that although machines make significant pollution, it is one of the centers of modern society. That is why modern technology is essential. Frederick, you are way off topic, okay? If you write that kind of a thesis statement, your essay, even if you're using perfect English and grammar, will not get more than band 4.5 or 5. To the examiner, it will seem like you memorized an essay about machines and pollution and wrote it for any question dealing with machines or pollution, okay? So you're way off topic. This question is not asking anything about pollution. That's a completely different idea or argument. So you have to be really careful, Frederick. That's going to be a failed essay in the IELTS, and it's so sad to see when somebody has good English skills to fail an essay because they're off topic. Okay. Jainil says, even though some individuals ascertain that technological devices create more stress in life, I think that these machines help save time and decrease workload. Okay. Jainil, the problem with your two thesis points, so you have a couple of grammatical mistakes, but more importantly, you have a problem with your thesis points. Can anybody tell me what the mistake is with Jainil's thesis point? So saving time and decreasing workload. Why are these not good to have, these two together? Can anybody tell me that? I've mentioned this in previous classes, and it's important to understand this. So why would these 2 points not work well? And this is, again, why you really want your thesis to be excellent so that you have a good essay. Okay, Rajveer says it's the parallel grammar. Saving time, okay, I'm going to fix the grammar, but it's not really that, Rajveer. It's not the parallel grammar that's worrisome here. It's something else. Okay, so here, saving time and decreasing workload. There you go. So now we have parallel grammar, but it's still not a good pairing. Okay, so Samuel's on the right track. Samuel says decreasing workload saves time, but not the other way around. Right, so Samuel is realizing that there's something. Yes, very good, Bekjun. So Samuel, you were on the right track. You were very close to what Bekjun just said. These are the same. Okay, so these would not work as your points because they are the same. And what happens when students have this kind of or these kinds of thesis points is indeed their body paragraphs seem to be just repetition. It seems to be the same argument again and again. Okay, and in university or college, these types of essays get marked very low by professors because they say, hey, you don't have exclusive thesis points. You need to pay attention to that. Jainil also said that. Yeah, Jainil said, okay, Jainil, I got it. You got it. Yeah, so Jainil says they're the same. So saving time and decreasing workload. Yeah, when you decrease workload, you basically save time. You're discussing the same concept, more or less. So for the reader, when they read this, they're kind of like, well, okay, that's the same idea, right? You save time because you decrease workload. Okay, so importantly, make sure that your thesis points for argument are distinctly unique. Okay, it's very, very important. Okay, all right, so if you realize that, make sure to adjust. All right, make sure to adjust. And Jainil realized that later, which is great. Okay, it's not too late until you get to the second body paragraph and you start writing about it anyway. Okay, go back and fix your thesis. Okay. All right, so I have my thesis here as well, and it's quite synonymous with some of your thesis statements. So although some people believe that technology has led to more stress in life, I believe that overall modern day machines decrease stress by saving energy and time. Okay, so I just kept it like that. All right, now we're ready to write our introductory paragraph. Let's get into it. I think everybody has a clear idea of what to do and what not to do when thinking about the thesis. I've said this many times before. A good thesis will make a good essay. A bad thesis will make a bad essay. You can easily save or drop even as much as 2 or 3 band scores. Okay, I'm going to really emphasize that while you're thinking about your hook and background so that you keep that in mind. Okay, a good thesis. When students send me essays to give them band estimates, basically after I read the thesis, I already know whether it's a band 7 to 9 or whether it's a band 4 to 7. Okay, it's that simple. So a good thesis will make a good essay, and a bad thesis will make a bad essay. In the IELTS, this can mean a difference of 2 to 3 band scores, no joke. Okay, keep that in mind. All right. So your thesis is pivotal. Any English professor will tell you that. Okay. Yeah, Samuel, it's human energy. We can explain that, of course, in the body paragraphs. So that will be clear for a reader in the body paragraphs, okay? You can emphasize that even in the thesis, Samuel, but it's intuitive, so it's clear, okay? All right, let's write our hook. So the introductory paragraph, okay? Starts with a hook. Yes, it is important. It amazes me how much false information is floating around on the internet and in IELTS schools where students are told that you don't need a hook. Yeah, I mean, you don't need a hook. You don't need a good thesis if you only need a band 6. Okay, you can kind of muster together some weaker essay with good English that can get a band 6, in the best of cases a 6.5 without a hook, without a direct thesis. But for many people that's not the goal, right? So the goal is to get band 7 or more, And to do that, you do need a hook, you do need a good introduction, you do need a good thesis. Okay. Beckjohn for the hook says, nowadays, labor-saving machines have been advanced than ever before. Okay, Beckjohn, a little bit awkward, couple of grammatical mistakes there. Keep it simpler. So nowadays, labor-saving machines, I think you can come up with a better one than that, Beckjohn, are more advanced than ever before, but we don't need to maybe go down that road. It's okay, but I think you can do better. Rajveer says, modern machines have become an integral part of human life. Yeah. Rajveer, just a couple of slight corrections, but it's very good. Okay, modern machines have become an integral part of human life. Integral meaning it's everywhere around us. It's connected to us. Okay, so absolutely. Okay, it's a good use of the word integral. Okay. Boomy says the 21st century brings thousands of technological advancements into human life. Yeah, we don't really need them more than ever before. That can be confusing, a bit awkward in the grammar as well. So just careful with that, okay? Remember, members, viewers, the hook is 8 to 12 words roughly, okay? Start clean, start clear, all right? Hassan says, nowadays machines occupy half of the monotonous work done by humans in the past. Instead of monotonous, Hassan, I would use challenging, I think would be a better word choice there. Monotonous is kind of the same as mundane, okay? Monotonous, it means having one tone. It's repetitive and boring, just like mundane. Mundane and monotone are somewhat synonyms, okay? All right, Samuel says, nowadays, modern technology has become part of daily life. Yeah, okay. Now, remember, students, we're talking about labor-saving machines, okay? So nowadays, machines have replaced doing many of the chores done by hand in the past. Okay? That's what I would write as my hook. Okay? Keep in mind, we're talking about labor-saving machines, right? So we're not just talking about any old machine. We're not talking about the television, which is used for entertainment mostly. We're talking about machines that do work for us. So nowadays, machines have replaced doing many of the chores done by hand in the past. Does that make for a clear hook? Okay, does it include the topic of labor-saving machines? Yes, it does. It's in the context, okay? The word chores is a clever one to think about here because, of course, we're talking about washing dishes, we're talking about washing our clothes, mopping, sweeping, and, of course, even going and communicating to our neighbor, okay? So that includes all of that information. Beckjohn says, nowadays, labor-saving machines are ubiquitous. Yeah, Beckjohn, that works. Okay, that's a good hook. Simple, clear, to the point. I like it better than your previous. Absolutely. Okay. So, Jainil, same thing. Nowadays, technological tools are an essential part of life. And that's good because you're using the word tools, Jainil. It's a good, clever addition there. Technological tools, right? Tools, that means equipment which helps us to achieve some kind of a goal, like washing our clothes or communicating. So that's good. Okay, now comes the background. Okay, background is definition and importance of the question. Okay. So here, we just want to define what it is that we're talking about, and we want to express why it's important to talk about this. Okay, so so what are we talking about? Okay, People acquire and use machines. And here's where you can throw it in, such as dishwashers, and computers on a daily basis to achieve necessary goals such as hygiene, and communication. Okay. All right, so that's kind of my definition there. And then comes the importance of the question. Okay. As more and more such devices become an integral part of everyday life, it is important to assess the overall effect on human health and well-being. Okay, right? That's why we're talking about this, because we want to know, hey, are we living better lives? Are we being more stressed or less stressed as a result of having more and more of these tools around us? Okay, so here we go. I can see that our members are putting similar kinds of concepts up. So Rajveer says appliances such as dishwashers and computers have assisted people by automating their daily activities like cleaning utensils and communicating with friends. Very nice, Rajveer. Okay, so that's where you can put it in. And now you see, Rajveer, that because you have it in the definition, you don't need to repeat it in the thesis. But of course, you would discover that later as well, right? Ashraf is asking, does the thesis count a lot or the body paragraphs? The thesis counts a lot, Ashraf, because it is the foundation of your argument and your body paragraphs. Okay, so Ashraf, if you're not really clear on the concept of the thesis statement in an essay, especially in a persuasive essay, you have to research that and learn it well. Okay, you can really improve your writing section band score just simply by understanding that concept clearer. Okay. Samuel says, countless gadgets have been introduced since the turn of the decade, aiding people to perform labor-intensive tasks and communicating effectively with others. Samuel, with others. Through computers, I would leave it there. Okay, and then you continue, since they are being used day to day, it is essential to analyze the effects they have on the users. Yeah, very good, Samuel. So why is it important to talk about this? It's essential to analyze their effects on the users. Very good, which are, of course, humans. All right. Yeah, Rajveer, you got that, right? Good. Okay. Hassan says, machines have significantly aided humans with many labor-intensive tasks, such as washing dishes, chores, which were done by humans in the past. Okay, take out chores because washing dishes is chores. Okay. Beckjohn says, every year more and more new technologies such as dishwashers and computers are being invented by engineers to make people's lives easier. But are they actually accomplishing this goal? That's how you could finish that, Beckjohn. So another way, Beckjohn's saying, this breakthrough has a major impact on both everyday life of individuals. Okay, I think you want to take out the word both. Okay, good. All right, everybody's doing a fantastic job so far by the look of it. So you're on track now. And then, of course, we can just now put the thesis statement in to the end of the introduction, and we have a great introductory paragraph. Okay. All right, so here's the introduction, members and viewers. This would be your Band 9 intro to this type of question. Okay, here we go. Nowadays, machines have replaced doing many of the chores done by hand in the past. People acquire and use machines such as dishwashers and computers on a daily basis to achieve necessary goals such as hygiene and communication. As more and more such devices become an integral part of everyday life, it is important to assess the overall effect on human health and well-being. Although some people believe that technology has led to more stress in life, I believe that the overall modern day machines decrease stress by saving energy and time. That's your band 9 response. Okay? If the examiner reads that, I guarantee you at this point, they're thinking, I'm looking at a band 9 essay that is written by a person who understands persuasive writing, question analysis, thesis composition, and how to structure their argument. Okay? And again, a lot of those strategies and techniques that you're seeing online, like writing this essay, will discuss both the stress and the help that machines provide. Those were composed, I think a lot of those ideas were created many years ago, 10, 20 years ago, when IELTS was quite new and the required band score for immigration and university was 1 or 2 bands lower. So that doesn't work so much these days, especially when many students need to get that band 7 or more, especially for those master's and PhD students. So be really, really careful. Those are outdated strategies. They don't actually follow the standards of essay writing, or especially of quality essay writing. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right, members, fantastic job. Let's pick it up here tomorrow with the body paragraphs and the conclusion. We have a clear direction now. If you'd like, you can get ahead of the game by preparing your essay today to present it tomorrow piece by piece, especially those of you who know what you're doing. For all of our viewers, we have a task 1 essay coming up. That's a new one, pie charts. I believe it was also a previous IELTS exam question. And to see many HD video examples, explanations of writing and effective essay composition, definitely check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general. When you join the premium package, apply the coupon code R4TYJ. You'll get that 20% discount. You're very welcome, Bekjan, Janil, Rajveer, Bhumi. Nice contributions today. You're welcome, Hassan. Thank you so much. I will see all of you hopefully in about 30 minutes for task 1, pie charts. Bye for now. I'm Adrian signing out from Budapest.